Hello students, today we are going to study the fifth chapter of First Flight, The 100 Dresses, Part 1, written by Elbasar Esther. My dear students, before going to the text, we should know about the authoress of this story. Eleanor Estes was an American children's author and a children's librarian. Her book Ginger Pyre won the New Fry Medal. Eleanor based the story The 100 Dresses on her real life experience as the girl who received Peggy's hand me down dresses. Now, let's come to know the theme of this story. The story The 100 Dresses is based on Eleanor's real life experience. It is the story of a girl who received Peggy's hand me down dresses. She felt very guilty for not having defended the character Wanda in real life. She wrote the story in order to assuage her guilt. Assuage means pacify, and to encourage others to stand against bullies. Now, let's begin the text and try to comprehend the meaning of the text. Today, Monday, Wanda Petronsky was not in her seat, but nobody, not even Peggy and Madeline, the girls who started all the fun, noticed her absence. Usually, Wanda sat in the seat next to the last seat in the last row in room 13. She sat in the corner of the room where the rough boys who did not make good marks sat. The corner of the room where there was most scuffling of feet means noisy, dragging movement of feet, most roars of laughter when anything funny was said, and most mud and dirt on the floor. Wanda did not sit there because she was rough and noisy. On the contrary, she was very quiet and rarely said anything at all, and nobody had ever heard her laugh out loud. Sometimes she twisted her mouth into a crooked sort of smile, but that was all. Here, in this paragraph, the author tells about Wanda Petronsky was in the class. What Wanda Petronsky sat in the seat next to the last seat in the last row in room number 13. Only rough boys who didn't get good marks sat there. It was this corner where there was most scuffling of feet, most noisy sound, and most roars of laughter when anything funny was said. It was also the corner where one could find most mud and dirt on the floor. Why? Because she means Wanda Petronsky came from the place Boggin Heights. It was full of dirt and mud. Now let's begin the next paragraph. Nobody knew exactly why Wanda sat in that seat, unless it was because she came all the way from Boggins Heights and her feet were usually caked, that means stuck with dry mud. But no one really thought much about Wanda Petronsky once she sat in the corner of the room. The time when they thought about Wanda was outside of school hours. At noontime, when they were coming back to school, or in the morning early before school began, when groups of two or three or even more would be talking and laughing on their way to the schoolyard. Then sometimes they waited for Wanda to have fun with her. The next day, Tuesday, Wanda was not in school either, and nobody noticed her absence again. Here in this paragraph, my dear student, you should know that Wanda Petronsky was very quiet and lonely. Nobody knew why she chose to sit in the last row. Perhaps she came from a place, Boggins Heights. It was the place where poor immigrants lived. Her feet were usually covered with dry mud. Nobody really thought much about Wanda when she was in the class today. She was not in her seat, but no one noticed her absence. Now, come to the next paragraph. But on Wednesday, Peggy and Maddie, who sat down front with other children who got good marks and who didn't trek in a whole lot of mud, did notice that Wanda wasn't there. Peggy was the most popular girl in school. She was pretty. She had many pretty clothes and her hair was curly. Maddie was her closest friend. The reason Peggy and Maddie noticed Wanda's absence was because Wanda had made them late to school. They had waited and waited for Wanda. They had waited and waited for Wanda to have some fun with her, and she just hadn't come. They often waited for Wanda Petronsky to have fun with her. Now, in this third paragraph, Wanda Petronsky was an object of fun. Her schoolmates thought of Wanda only when she was outside, only outside the school. They waited for Wanda to have fun with her. After 2 days, Peggy and Maddie noticed that Wanda was not there in the class. Peggy was the most popular girl in school. She had pretty clothes and her hair was curly. Now, come to the next paragraph. Wanda Petronsky. Most of the children in room number 13 didn't have names like that. They had names easy to say, like Thomas, Smith, or Ellen. There was one boy named Bounce, Willie Bounce, and people thought that was funny, but not funny in the same way that Petronsky was. Wanda did not have any friends. She came to school alone and went home alone. She always wore a faded blue dress that didn't hang right. It means didn't fit properly. It was clean, but it looked as though it had never been ironed properly. She did not have any friends, but a lot of girls talked to her. Sometimes they surrounded her in the schoolyard as she stood watching the little girls play hopscotch on the worn, hard ground. In this fourth paragraph, Wanda Petronsky was as funny name. She was rather a strange name for the children in room number 13. They didn't have names like that. They had names easy to say like Thomas, Smith, or Ellen. Wanda didn't have friends. She came to school alone and went home alone. She always wore a faded blue dress. It was clean but never ironed properly. Wanda, Peggy would say in a most courteous, that means polite manner, as though she were talking to Miss Mason. Wanda, she would say, giving one of her friends a nudge. Tell us. Here, nudge means a gentle or slight push. How many dresses did you say you had hanging up in your closet? 100, Wanda would say. Wanda would reply, 100. 100? Exclaimed all the little girls. At this, all the little girls, they were surprised at the answer of Wanda Petronsky. Incredulously, and the little ones would stop playing hopscotch and listen. Eh, 100? All lined up? Said Wanda. Then her thin lips drew together in silence. What are they like? All silk, I bet, said Peggy. Eh, all silk, all colors. Velvet too. Eh, velvet too. 100 dresses. Wanda would repeat stolidly, all lined up in my closet. Then they would let her go, and then before she had gone very far, they wouldn't help bursting into shrieks and peals of laughter. 100 dresses. Obviously, the only dress Wanda had was the blue one she wore every day. So, why did she say she had 100? What a story! How many shoes did you say you had? 60 pairs, all lined up in my closet. When they asked, how many shoes do you have? Then she answered that she had 60 pairs and all were lined up in her closet, in her almirah. Cries of exaggerated politeness greeted this all alike. Oh no, every pair is different, all colors, all lined up. Now, in this paragraph, Peggy was making fun of Wanda. Peggy would always try to make fun of Wanda in a most polite manner. She would ask, how many dresses did you say you had hanging up in your closet? Wanda would answer, 100. Then Peggy would ask in a teasing but polite manner, all silk, I bet. Wanda would reply that they were all silk and all colors. Then, before Wanda had gone very far, all the girls would burst into shrieks and peals of laughter. The only dress Wanda wore was a blue one. What a story, they would say, meaning that she was telling a lie. They would again ask Wanda teasingly how many shoes. Wanda would reply 60 pairs. Peggy, who had thought up this game, and Mary, her inseparable friend, were always the last to leave. Finally, Wanda would move up the street, her eyes dull and her mouth closed, hitching her left shoulder every now and then in the funny way she had. Finishing the walk to school alone, Peggy was not really cruel. She protected small children from bullies, from threatening, and she cried for hours if she saw an animal mistreated. If anybody had said to her, don't you think That is a cruel way to treat Wanda. She would have been very surprised. Cruel. Why did the girl say she had 100 dresses? Anybody could tell that that was a lie. Why did she want to lie? And she wasn't just an ordinary person. Else, why did she have a name like that? Anyway, they never made her cry. As for Maddie, this business of asking Wanda every day how many dresses and how many hats and how many this and that she had was bothering her. Maddie was poor herself. She usually wore somebody's hands me down clothes. Thank goodness she didn't live up on Boggins Heights or have a funny name. Sometimes, when Peggy was asking Wanda those questions in that mocking polite voice, Mary felt embarrassed and studied the marbles in the palm of her hand, rolling them around and saying nothing herself. Not that she felt sorry for Wanda exactly, she would never have paid any attention to Wanda if Peggy hadn't invented the dresses game. But suppose Peggy and all the others started in on her next. She wasn't as poor as Wanda, perhaps, but she was poor. Of course, she would have more sense than to say she had 100 dresses. Still, she could not like for them to begin on her. She wished Peggy would stop teasing Wanda Petronsky. Now, here in this paragraph, Maddie was a different type of girl. Maddie was not like Peggy. She didn't like this business of asking Wanda how many dresses, shoes, and hat she had. Maddie was poor herself. She often wore old clothes, usually given by someone else. She felt embarrassed when Peggy questioned Wanda in a mocking, polite voice. She wished Peggy would stop teasing Wanda Petronsky. Now, come to the next paragraph. Today, even though they had been late to school, Mary was glad she had not had to make fun of Wanda. She worked her arithmetic problems absent mindedly 8 times 8. Let's see. She wished she had the nerve, that means dare, to write Peggy's note because she knew she never would have the courage to speak right out to Peggy, to say, "Hey, Peg, let's stop asking Wanda how many dresses she has." When she finished her arithmetic, she did start a note to Peggy. Suddenly, she paused and shuddered. She pictured herself in the schoolyard, a new target for Peggy and the girls. Peggy might ask her where she got the dresses that she had on, and Maddie would have to say it was one of Peggy's old ones that Maddie's mother had tried to disguise with new trimmings so no one in room 13 would recognize it. If only Peggy would decide of her own accord to stop having fun with Wanda. Oh well, Maddie ran her hand through her short blonde hair as though to push the uncomfortable thoughts away. What difference did it make? Slowly, Maddie tore into bits the note she had started. She was Peggy's best friend, and Peggy was the best liked girl in the whole room. Peggy could not possibly do anything that was really wrong, she thought. Now, in this paragraph, she pictured herself in the schoolyard, a new target for Peggy and the girls. Peggy might ask her where she got the dress that she had on. Maddie would have to say it was one of Peggy's old dresses that she was wearing. Now, coming to the next paragraph. As for Wanda, she was just some girl who lived up on Boggins Heights and stood alone in the school yard. She scarcely ever said anything to anybody. The only time she talked was in the school yard about her 100 dresses. Maddie remembered her telling about one of her dresses, pale blue with colored trimmings, and she remembered another that was brilliant jungle green with a red sash. You would like, you would look like a Christmas tree in that, the girls had said in pretended admiration. Thinking about Wanda and her 100 dresses all lined up in the closet, Maddie began to wonder who was going to win the drawing and coloring contest for girls. This contest consisted of designing dresses and for boys of designing motorbike motorboats. Probably Peggy would win the girls' medal. Peggy drew better than anyone else in the room. At least that's what everybody thought. She could copy a picture in a magazine or some film star's head so that you could almost tell who it was. Oh, Maddie was sure Peggy would win. Well, tomorrow the teacher was going to announce the winners, then they would know. The next day, it was drizzling. Maddie and Peggy hurried to school under Peggy's umbrella. Naturally, on a day like this, they didn't wait for Wanda Petronsky on the corner of Oliver Street, the street that far, far away under the railroad tracks and up the hill led to Boggins Heights. Anyway, they weren't they weren't taking chances on being late today because today was important. Here, throughout this paragraph, it was a drawing and coloring contest. Maddie began to wonder who was going to win the drawing and coloring contest for girls. This contest consisted of designing dresses. Peggy was the favorite as she drew better than anyone else in the room. Everybody thought that Peggy would win the prize. The next day, when they entered the classroom, they found that there were drawings all over the room. There must have been 100 of them. All there must have been 100 of them. They were all lined up. Miss Mason announced the winners. She told them that one girl drew 100 designs all different and beautiful colors. Do you think Miss Mason will announce the winners today? Asked Peggy. Oh, I hope so. The minute we get in, said Maddie. Of course, you will win, Peg. Hope so, said Peggy eagerly. The minute they entered the classroom, they stopped, short, and gasped. There were drawings all over the room, on every ledge and window sills, drizzling colors and brilliant, lavish designs, all drawn on great sheet of wrapping paper. There must have been 100 of them, all lined up. These must be the drawings for the contest. There were. Everybody stopped and wished. Everybody stopped and whistled or murmured admiringly. As soon as the class had assembled, Miss Mason announced the winners. Jack Bagels had won for the boys, she said, and her designs for an outboard motor was on exhibition in room 12, along with the sketches by all the other boys. As for the girls, she said, although just one or two sketches were submitted by most, one girl and room number 13 should be proud of her. This one girl actually drew 100 designs, all different and all beautiful. In the opinion of the judges, any one of the drawings is worthy of winning the prize. I am very happy to say that Wanda Petronsky is the winner of the girls' medal. Unfortunately, Wanda has been absent from school for some days and is not there is not there to receive the applause that is due to her. Let us hope she will be back tomorrow. Now, class, you may file around the room quietly and look at her exquisite drawings. The children burst into applause, and even the boys were glad to have a chance to stamp on the floor, put their fingers in their mouths, and whistle. Though they were not interested in dresses, look, Peg, whispered Maddie. There's that blue one she told us about. Isn't it beautiful? Yes, said Peggy. And here's that green one, boy, and I thought I could draw. So that's all about this chapter. Let us try to comprehend the meaning of this paragraph. And here Miss Mason announced the winners, and she told them that one girl drew 100 designs, all different and in beautiful colors. She declared that Wanda Petronsky was the winner of the girls' medal. Wanda had been absent from school for some days and was not there to receive the prize. Miss Mason asked the children to file around the room quietly and look at Wanda's beautiful drawings. Peggy and Maddie noticed that particularly two blue and a green dresses which Wanda used to talk about were displayed there. Now that's all about this chapter, my dear students. I hope that you have understood well and try to write the questions answer in your notebook. Thank you.